Oh yeah, my body is ready as well. I don't know if our opponents will be ready for all of the elementals. Alright folks, it's time. It's time to play Black Lotus in Legacy. And by that I mean Orcish Lumberjack, the closest they'll let us get to it. Although, maybe LED is a more reasonable impression, but shh. Anyway, my name's Phil Gallagher. I run Thraben University, a site dedicated to legacy death and taxes. And we have a couple of death and taxes cards in this deck, like these sideboard cards and this Caracas, but largely we're doing something pretty different today. This is the Orcish Lumberjack Loam deck, affectionately known by the community as Applejacks, because naming decks after cereals seems like a really legacy thing to do. Innistrad Revenue Service. A, that's a great name. And B, welcome to my channel. I'm glad you're getting a chance to catch me live. It's not going to be D&T content tonight, but it's going to be something equally amazing, though in different sorts of ways. So what's the game plan of this deck? This is essentially a light graveyard synergy deck, where you're looking to abuse things like Life from the Loam and Knight of the Reliquary. But, unlike other Loam decks, this plays Orcish Lumberjack, which lets you sacrifice a forest to add 3 either red or green or some combination thereof mana. So, you can use this to accelerate out some rather silly cards. The one that this deck is really built around is Titania, Protector of Argoth. When it enters the battlefield, you return a land card from your graveyard to the battlefield, and whenever a land you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield, create a 5/3 green elemental creature token. So the idea with this deck is you kind of play a lot of value-oriented lands, and when your lands go to the graveyard, good stuff happens. I want to contrast what I'm going to play now to what I played previously. So in my previous version, sort of at the end of my video, I said to myself, okay, a lot of these single-colored lands are bad, and they're actively hindering me from doing my game plan. So I cut Bojuka Bog and Sajiri Steppe, giving up some of my utility for more stability. So from my last list, I've added a Taiga and a Savannah over those 2 utility lands. I'm not sure if that's right. I definitely know I want the Bojuka Bog out. The Sajiri Steppe is questionable, because, it's really good to tutor up the Dark Depths combo with Knight, and then follow up with Sajiri Steppe to force through a Baleful Strix or something. But we're going to give that a go. WTF is the appropriate response to this deck. I agree. So the other thing I did was, once I made that change, I realized, okay, if I'm not going to play those, then crop rotation is kind of bad. And I was actually citing out crop rotation a lot, so I decided, alright, we want to play a value-oriented deck, so why not add more value cards? I'm a little worried that I went too heavy on the fat. I added in Ramunap Excavator, it just seems to hit all the synergies well, Tireless Tracker, again, that land-based synergy, and Knight of Autumn as a green sun target. The one thing I haven't talked about yet is the other side of the Applejacks combo, and that's Natural Order. The idea is that you turn one of your sort of mediocre beginning of the game creatures, usually Dryad Arbor, into Dragon Lord Atarka or Primeval Titan. Dragon Lord Atarka just devastates the fair decks like Death and Taxes, and Primeval Titan can search up Dark Depths and Thespian Stage in a single go. Yeah, so there's a lot of weird combos. You have Punishing Fire Grove, you have, Tireless Tracker plus lands, or Knight plus lands, Ramunap plus lands, Mana Dork plus Natural Order, Orcish Lumberjack accelerating these things out unnaturally early, Dark Depths stage. It's not, quite so far off the deep end that it's like Battle of Wits, but, there's definitely some shared elements there. The only thing that I'm worried about with, what I've put together is that I'm not having enough early plays now that I've cut the crop rotations. So I might need to, change this Ramunap and Tireless Tracker into some Lightning Bolts or Swords to Plowshares or something like that to have more early game interaction. But I'm looking to play long, so this seems fine. I don't think I really changed anything in the sideboard. I think I added 1 Swords to Plowshares because I took a Tireless Tracker from the main deck or from the sideboard and moved into the main deck. So I think I went -1 Tireless Tracker, +1 Source of Plowshares from last time. So I'm just going to kind of jump into games tonight. This is a donation deck list brought to you by Patrick H., who gave me dealer's choice. He donated and said, all right, you either play High Tide or you play Applejacks. It's your choice. And I was waiting for the return of Orcish Lumberjack. So here we are. Let's battle. Yeah, if I was going to put more removal into the main deck, I'd move the Source of Plowshares from the sideboard there over some of the fat. And it might be correct to do so. All right, this is V3. Hey, Phil, what do you think about Ultimate Master so far? The full art cards are really sweet looking. I don't... Like, we don't have a list yet, so I can't really, like, make any claims about what I think about it as a limited environment. So, like, I think it's too early to tell. But, like, for a limited release product, I'm fine with the price being what it's being. You know, they've clearly said this isn't going to be a set that was for everyone. Mihi Nominest, Magister Gallagher. Or Phil Gallagher here, I suppose. Ah, Storm Thief. Well, perfect timing. So just to flash you the deck list in case you don't have Cardboard Live pulled up, I made a couple of changes. I'm looking to try out a few more value-oriented cards at the 3-drop slot, and I removed a couple of the, like, utility lands in order to go and get a few more just consistent mana sources. So Lasco, like, I think for a lot of people, for these sorts of sets, what they want to go out and do is, like, play with it once, right? Like, you want to go and draft one of these sets once with your buddies. And, like, it's an expensive draft, but you will probably get your money out of it. And, like, the way I look at it is that, like, if you go and you throw down for a box of that with 7 of your good friends, and, like, you play a draft, you know, you keep whatever you draft, and you play for, like, that full art promo as your prize for taking down the draft, that sounds like a great night to me. That I'd be okay with. But as far as people who just, like, go and get a box of every set to just get a box of every set, this might be the time where you keep that money in the bank. Yes, Solnox, it is indeed your deck, although I'm making a couple changes. I want to kind of experiment a little bit. So the Cardboard Live extension on the left-hand side of the screen can go ahead and pop it out so you can see what I've done. But I'm trying to cut the crop rotations tonight and see where that goes. Yeah, I have some suspicions. But, like, with decks like this, you kind of have to test an idea if you have it. It's not the sort of deck where you can just, like, go and theory craft. Like, you just have to try with something like this. So this hand's fine. What I do with this hand is going to depend a lot on what my opponent does. Alright, opponent is unfair stuff dot deck. So I don't have an Ooze main deck. My Ooze is in the sideboard, so that's bad news bears for me. So I can just Gemstone Mine, hope my opponent can't instant speed discard some stuff. Or I can just try to go fast. And, like, Green Sun for Dryad Arbor this turn. Into Night next turn. Into, like, turn 4 Merit kill. Or I can just, like, Orcish Lumberjack, then have 4 mana next turn. Green Sun for X equals 3. I think I like the gamble of Wasteland, destroy their land. It may not work out for me, but if my opponent didn't like break through or something there, and they just like played out their land as to not miss a land drop, I might just put them in a situation where they have to hard discard to get going, and that'd be sweet. Yeah, Innistrad Revenue Service. My guess is that, like, if they're willing to sell packs at that price, it's gonna be stacked. Yeah, Solnox. Every once in a while, when someone is streaming, I try to avoid getting paired against them if I want to continue watching that stream. I don't really have a good game one plan against Dredge. Like, basically nothing I do here matters, especially since, like, I cut the random Bojuka Bog from my deck because it was giving me trouble. Yeah. That's full on, like, tinfoil hat theory. Super glad my opponent didn't have that LED before they got started. Okay, opponent has 1 Icarid and 2 Dredgers. Well, this deck's super fun, so of course I love it. Alright, so what's the game plan? The game plan this turn is play a land, Green Sun for Dryad Arbor, then next turn play Knight, and then go for Dark Depths combo as quickly as I can. I could play out the Orcish Lumberjack instead, but I don't think I want that quite yet. Now we're kind of at the mercy of, like, how well my opponent dredges. Oh, wow, my opponent has Stitcher Supplier in here. That's neat. Yeah, Farish, I'm still all about Chalice. I'm up to 3 in my sideboard. Jeez, drawing the Dark Depths is nuts. That means I can Thespian Stage next turn. Like, get Thespian Stage next turn and go for the Dark Depths kill. That was, like, perfect. And since it's a land, my opponent can't discard it. Winning. Army of Thalia? I'm sorry. It's not supposed to go that way. Not going to take any blocks here, you know, because I'm going to just more or less win this game immediately if my opponent doesn't mill Narcomoeba next turn. Oh, Solnox, I know. I'm so excited about that, by the way. So for anyone not reading the chat, I can use, like, activate Knight of the Reliquary to get rid of my Dryad Arbor, and that will put a creature into the graveyard to get rid of all of their bridges. So I'll very likely end up producing a Merit Lodge during their draw step. We'll see exactly. I don't think Scavenging Ooze was a good name from my opponent there, because if I had a Scavenging Ooze, I'd be very likely to play that rather than a Knight. Yeah, so I forget what the last big event I was at was, but whatever it was, I was playing against Bryant Cook, and I played, like, Chalice into Chalice against him, and it was just, like, disgustingly powerful. Innistrad Revenue Service, remember, everything does go up on YouTube about an hour afterwards. So even if you can't get it all live now, it will be there later. Gogar Graveboy, I have not played Manaless Dredge in a very, very long time. I'd be game for it. I tried out regular Dredge recently, and I wasn't overly impressed. But Manaless, maybe that's different. Yeah, my opponent sits there, thinks about it, and then realizes, nope, I'm dead. So one thing I want to make clear before I talk about sideboarding is that tonight I made the decision to cut my Bojuka Bog and Crop Rotation package from the deck, which happens to be extremely good against this deck. So, like, I accept what is happening here. We were really lucky to get game one. Gutshot the Bob, thank you very much for your continued support. 3 months is a long time. Hope to see you around for longer, and I hope you're enjoying Orcish Lumberjack. All right. So, Ooze and Thalias are great. Swords to Plowshares are probably good enough at removing Icarids. Kozilek's Return and Pithing Needle fall into the camp of, like, I guess I could play this. They do things. Felchmaster, that was rough. Dredgeful. Okay, so let's figure out what I don't want. Sylvan Library is probably too slow. If I had more Graveyard Hate, I'd use that to find it, but I don't. This isn't the best, like, Dragon Lord Atarka deck. Like, you use this for all, like, the fair mid-rangey decks. If you just, like, blow up a bunch of Dredge's zombies or something, they don't really care. So I'll probably cut this. I'm going to treat Natural Order as a spell that gets Primeval Titan, hence assembling Dark Depths combo, which is just kind of like how I'm going to win this. Life from the Loam's probably pretty slow. Like, I can waste my opponent a couple of times. It's not the best. So probably cut those. These spells are probably so important that I can't really get Teague, even though it stops Dread Return. And similarly, this might not be a Remnant matchup. It's not really a Knight of Autumn matchup either. Maybe I'll play the Kozilek's Return over that. Pithing Needle for Colosseum on the draw is not stellar. We have a lot of not stellar things. Yeah, I could get rid of one Punishing Fire to play that. Alright. So I can produce 3 mana on turn 1 and then Punishing Fire my opponent. This one's got to be a mulligan. Well, this hand's awkward, but I'm going to keep it. And we have a land, so that'll go to the top. Needle works for Cephalid Colosseum. You want to shut off its ability to go and, like, just dredge through their entire deck. So you're using it not to shut off the mana ability, but to shut off the drawing ability. Opponent names Surgical Extraction on turn 1. They get to see my hand. Hand's kind of loose. That's alright. I get to play a turn 1 ooze. I'm just really hoping to see, like, not LED into just go, 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 go. So here I'm going to go ahead and discard my Wasteland and play out the stage. The stage may allow me to combo later on, which is something that I care about. And we can just F6 through this. The opponent knows exactly what the contents of my hand at this stage. So opponent kind of needs to go ham in one turn in order to play around my ooze. Yeah, if you're playing Manaless, then you are not used to Cephalid Coliseum getting eaten by Pithing Needle, but it definitely happens. I won't say commonly. Jeez, Firestorm. That ain't bad. So, now I don't have another ooze. So life's a little rough. So I can Green Sun for 2. Teague's in the board, that won't work. So I can just basically get a bird or a Dryad Arbor. So I can get a bird, then hold up the ability to either fetch Dryad Arbor just to kill some bridges, or Source of Plowshare or something as need be. Serenity to destroy my Mox. That is rude. But opponent has nothing going on currently. So we'll see where this goes. I'm not going to fetch Dryad Arbor. I'm going to need colored mana once my Mox goes. A Green Sun for Night of Autumn to blow this up would be stellar to protect this Mox. I'm going to go ahead and copy a Savannah now while I still have my mana from my Mox. Then this trading 1-for-1 is okay with me. It puts me farther away from Titania, but that's okay. Opponent's doing nothing. I have plenty of cards that will be a clock. Starstreak, thank you very much for your continued support. You're now one of my sort of like longest supporting followers, so thank you very much for that. I really appreciate that. This is indeed weird-looking Death and Taxes. I'm with you 100%. Weirder still is this match. DGM, thank you very much for your support. Thank you for throwing your Twitch Prime money this way this month. And Anurag, thank you very much for raiding. I caught a little bit of your stream while I was setting up. Always happy to see you producing more content. This is just straight up hardcast Dread Return. What a weird world we're in. I'm Falcor, and same to you. Thank you very much for supporting my channel. I really appreciate it. And Anurag, those emotes you have are looking pretty stellar. Alright, opponent exiling my land here. If I were them, I really would have considered just sacking that immediately to Cabal Therapy to avoid this exact thing right here from happening. This is the first match. Opponent says, I'm bad. I think opponent has realized exactly what's about to happen. Sorry, I don't remember if I finished that thought. Anurag, I am just finishing up the first round here, so no no results yet, and no, I have not. Ooh. So I'll look forward to wastelanding this Coliseum in a little bit. So I'm not just gonna like play out Mox Diamond here. I haven't watched Castlevania Season 2 yet. I'm watching a lot of other things right now. There's a lot of like anime in this season that are like really, really good. Yeah, womp womp on the opponent. I think this is an early concession from them. But if they don't have anything at this point, they just might feel overwhelmed. The issue here is that they have only 5 cards in graveyard, so like getting 2 more cards into the graveyard might be legitimately tricky. No, I'm not watching that. So I'm watching like Goblin Slayer, time I got reincarnated as a slime or whatever it's called, the Bunny Girl Senpai one, and a handful of others. No, there's at least one more. Oh yeah, I'm all about those like short comedy episodes. I was browsing one of the anime subreddits today, and I saw a couple of just like shots from that show, and they look pretty hilarious. As far as other things I'm watching, I'm working through Ancient Magus's Bride. I just started that. Just feels like a Miyazaki movie as an anime, so like I'm super hype about it. Also finishing up Rage of Bahamut Genesis. Don't watch that. Show's bad. I've got like 2 more episodes to tough out, so I can say that I finished it. Actually, I think I still have a command for that. If you're ever curious what I'm watching, you can type !anime and get everything. What would happen if you downloaded all the anime ever made into your brain all at once? Have you seen The Matrix? So I think since I just used that command, it's too soon to use it again, so I'll just like paste that again. You can access everything I've seen recently. And, yeah, exactly. I know anime. I know all the waifus. I know weebfu. I like that, Elliot. I like that quite a bit. Yeah, I was fine with the first half of Fate Apocrypha, and then like Netflix just like put up the first half of it, and then there was just like this 6-month or like year break before I could watch the second half. And then I came back and I watched an episode or two, and I was just like, nope, this isn't worth my time right now. And I really like some of the other Fate stuff. Like I really enjoyed Fate Zero and Unlimited Blade Works, but I feel like Apocrypha was just trying to like Fate harder than all of the other Fates, and I don't think it worked. I really hope my opponent isn't just playing Black-Red Reanimator. Their last finish in 2017 was with Reanimator, and then another one in 2017 at a similar time was Reanimator. If they are Reanimator and I like play another Graveyard Hate deck in a row, I'm super punished for all of my life choices. But it is what it is. I think Paprika is both. That movie is stellar, by the way, for anyone who hasn't seen it. Real weird, but quite good. I have not dabbled in Violet Evergarden yet. I heard good things about it. Actually, I think from you. Haha! Some lands, you say. It would be a shame if something happened to them. Oh no. There goes my plan of wasteland all the things. Wah, 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 wah. If I would have led on Caracas, my opponent might have named Vile. Nah, they still would have named Wasteland. Alright, do I want to library this turn or Green Sun for 1? So I want to save this Green Sun so I can cast it for X equals 3 to blow up this Pithing Needle in all likelihood. Like, the Knight of Autumn will probably be pretty good. So I'm just going to library this turn. No, I haven't seen Fate Extra Encore. I heard a lot of dubious things about some of the, like, side Fate series. Like, what is it? Ilya Prisma, I heard, was just a train wreck. And there was another show somewhat recently, not Apocrypha, but the one that they did after that my roommate said was just pretty awful. Oh, the candles. Good news is that, like, my opponent missed their third land drop there, so... Oh, we just drew the Knight of Autumn. Isn't that convenient? Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I probably want both of these cards, so I can Knight of Autumn, blow up Pithing Needle this turn. But I can't exactly start wasting or anything yet. Once I get a Wasteland, Ramunap plus Wasteland is just, like, game over. We're gonna pay the low price of 8 life for some cards here. So actually, maybe you're right. Maybe I should have just, like... Well, I suppose I couldn't have just gotten Knight this turn, but on my next turn I can just, like, Green Sun, get Knight, go to town that way. My opponent getting their own Thespian stage is interesting. Natural Order. Ooh, this turn I can Natural Order for Primeval Titan. Get double Wasteland, and then next turn take out both of these. So that's cool. I don't need this, and I don't think I'm casting a Green Sun this turn. Yeah, he'll stage a forest. That's fine. Yeah, Paprika is great. Paranoia Agent is a classic as well in my book. Probably doesn't get as much praise as it deserves. This deck does not play Warping Whale in the sideboard. Oh, 12 post? Oh, I see. I'm not sure what the sideboard of the current iterations look like. Well, the good news is that it couldn't possibly be worse than the previous season of Sword Art Online, right? So... Why no greater hoof? That's an Elves card. We don't play dirty Elves cards. Ignore those. Those are good, honest people cards. Alright, so we're playing against a post deck. This Knight's fine. Tracker's probably fine. Thalia and Needle are kind of medium. Swords to Plowshares is kind of medium. So, this is the pile of cards that I would consider. So we are 1-0 this league. We're currently in round 2. Alright, this isn't really a Punishing Fire matchup. Like, I can Punishing Fire some Planeswalkers at 1 billion mana. That doesn't really seem necessary. Similarly, Dragon Lord Atarka, meh. My opponent could have Warping Whale, which would make Natural Order way worse. Teague stops some big annoying things. Like, it can stop the things like, Ugin, Karn, All is Dust, that otherwise might be quite annoying. So maybe second Tracker is too much. Hissing Needle for Candle seems really good. Maybe the Thalias don't do enough on the draw. I'm hesitant to shave one of these because, like, it just gets Wasteland back, and that's pretty good. Not sure what the last card to cut is. Maybe I'm going too hard on Swords to Plowshares. I don't want to shave Caracas. It's a fine card to have access to tutor for in case they just poop a big Eldrazi into play, and I can just attack through for lethal. Hey, RBS, welcome. Thank you very much for throwing your Twitch Prime money this way this month. I really do appreciate that. So, my turn 1 is like Mox Diamond, discard Depths, play Savannah, cast Bird, cast Green Sun for 1, and then I have so much mana to work with, and I can probably use my Tireless Tracker to just, like, power through this game. So I think I'm going to keep this one. Might as well help the filthy D&T player afford to buy a better deck, he says, knowing full well I have a card hoarder sponsorship that lets me borrow all of these sweet cards. Card hoarder is to blame for all of my awesome streams like this one. They're good people. Not to get too sentimental or anything, but just to, like, talk about the obvious. Streamers like myself are really only able to do what we do as easily because of the support from the community. And by that, I mean, like, you all who are showing up and watching, doing things like donating and supporting my channel, to the people like Card Hoarder who are, like, going out of their way to help streamers grow, and people like Cardboard Live who are helping, like, the experience grow into something that people want to watch. Oh, I am aware. Alright, so I can either just Rainbow Nap this turn, play a land, and attack for 1, or I can Tireless Tracker. If I draw a land next turn, I can just Titania back the Dark Depths anyway. So I'm just going to slam the Tracker. Let's get that into play. Yeah, confirmed, we are ramping harder than the opponent. That Tainted Pact stream was, like, so fun. There were all of the decisions. Alright, opponent has another Cloud Post. Pithing Needle, alright, that probably names Wasteland. I can Knight of Autumn that, no big deal. Although they might just name Thespian Stage, out of fear and respect for the combo. Nope. Daddy still wants to draw a Wasteland. Real bad. Opponent's pausing here. Maybe they have a second Pithing Needle. Yeah, so the name Applejacks is the OG name for this deck. I think it goes back quite some ways. Ooh, Natural Order. What does that do? Natural Order for Primeval Titan. Get 2 lands. Herpa-derpa-derp with Tireless Tracker. All I'm saying is I have played a couple of Wastelands in my day. I'm relatively familiar with how the card works. So I'm just going to think about which one I want to sacrifice. So Primeval Titan, 6, 9, it's 2 turns anyway. I'm going to go ahead and sacrifice the Dryad Arbor because I'm pretty likely to put it back into play with either Titania or Rainbow Nap sometime soon. So my opponent needs to do something real flashy this turn. Alright, so they can Crop Rotation for a 3rd Cloud Post. And they can cast a Big Bad. I think the issue is, though, like, more or less no matter which Big Bad they cast, I'm going to wreak havoc on them in their next turn cycle. Like, even if they just, like, All Is Dust and take out the whole board, I'll still just, like, Knight of Autumn Wasteland them. Oh man, super glad to see that Bojuka Bog gone here. Also very glad it wasn't Olamog, yes. Alright, so I go Knight of Autumn, blow up this, and take them off some mana. Clues are colorless, they get to stick around. Isn't that nifty? Where is your All Is Dust now, opponent? I'm going to go ahead and get rid of the copied one so that that can't, like, nab one of my Dark Depths later in case that becomes relevant. Opponent still has a reasonable amount of mana, but not silly amounts of mana. Very much hoping to spike a land so that I can go, like, Ramunap into Wasteland. But instead, we can just, like, double Wasteland. That's fine. So we blow up a Cloud Post. Technically should have done this end of combat in case my opponent does have, like, Warping Whale. But they wouldn't really be doing anything with their mana anyway. Poor little buddy. He just came here to play Magic. So I'm actually going to, like, crack a clue here before doing anything. Actually, maybe I'm supposed to just play Orcish Lumberjack. If I play the Lumberjack, then I can sacrifice this, go up to 3, 4 mana next turn, 5 mana Titania, return another Wasteland. I don't really know that I want to, like, go down another land in case something goes wrong. I'm just going to return these to my hand now in case my opponent has some sorcery speed graveyard hate. Yeah, it's okay. Alright, so now we don't need a loam. So the best way to increase my clock is probably just to Orcish Lumberjack. Let's draw a card, see if I get another Mox. I don't need to dredge. I do not. So I'll just play a Lumberjack here and pass. Then on my turn, I can sack my land to play a Titania. I'm going to try to mill and get a fetch land in the graveyard here. Did not manage to do so. I'll have 6 mana this turn. Oh, okay, I guess really 7. Let's cut down a tree. Play Titania. I guess I'll just return the Savannah so I can cut it down with Orcish Lumberjack again next turn. Now I have 3 mana. I can just go and play Ramunap. I didn't go to Eternal Weekend. Based on my experience in previous years, I decided to sit out this tournament. Well, the Army of Thalia, that is a trade secret, so I don't think he can tell you. So I'm really looking for a fetch land to abuse Titania, or a Dryad Arbor. So I'm fine with milling. Hey, a fetch land. So I can make 2 more 5/3 elementals immediately. Why don't I crack a clue? I guess I should have done this pre-combat in case I drew exactly Knight of Autumn. Why are we not wasting the mazes? Because Pithing Needle is on Wasteland. That is the answer. Yep, obvious answer is obvious. It's okay. Ooh, okay. So I'll fetch this Scattered Grove, which I can then sacrifice to put into the graveyard, make another 5/3, cast Life from the Loam, turn 3 cards, go ahead and cycle this, and we'll just naturally draw here. Oh, bird! I guess I can just play that. I don't really care whether or not, if my opponent like all his dusts again, I don't really need to have access to that bird. See if my opponent has something weird like Glacial Chasm. The Tabernacle. I think I can just like pay for all my stuff and kill you. Orcish Lumberjack is a sweet magic card. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I can pay for all of this. Yeah, my opponent has figured out what's going on. Orcish Lumberjack, proving to be the unstoppable force that we all knew it was. 2-0 in matches, 4-0 in games. Haven't dropped anything. Beating the unfair decks. Turns out Wasteland is pretty good against Cloudpost decks, even if your opponent Pithing Needles it. We beat Dredge in the first round, which is a little bit of a miracle because like I took out the Bojuka Bog and crop rotation package, so that maybe wasn't supposed to happen, but we did it anyway. So while we're waiting here, for anyone who doesn't know me, hello, my name's Phil Gallagher. I run ThrabenU University, a site dedicated to legacy, death, and taxes, though that's not what we're playing tonight. Today we are messing around with Orcish Lumberjack. sort of mid-range, aka Applejacks, to the community. And we're going into round 3, currently undefeated. I think my opponent plays Grixis Control. Or at least that's what they played last time I was on them. Like, last time I faced them. In which case, game 1, just having, like, stage depths in hand is sweet. It can be awkward if they just, like, hem out the pieces because they're on the play. But, like, I'm basically immune to Thoughtseize. So that part's awesome. You 100% side in Council's judgment in the mirror. If anyone thinks you don't, they're wrong. That's all I have to say. The card's insane in the mirror. It's one of the few answers to, like, both mom and equipment. So in fear of him, I actually kind of just want to lead on Thespian stage. Like, if one of these cards... Like, I only care about 2 cards in my hand, and it's these 2. This would let me not Teague next turn, but I think that's okay. Yeah. Path is a more contentious card. Whether or not you board in Path very much depends on your exact 75. Yeah, Rokilla. Teague is basically in here as a Green Sun target for the combo matchups. Path is awkward in the mirror. Sometimes it's really good. Sometimes it would be like the worst possible card in your deck. Like, it really depends on your exact 75 whether or not you can play that card. I know that's not, like, the answer you want, but you have to look at your in-out numbers and go, like, what is my game plan with my exact 75? How am I approaching the matchup? And, like, if you intend on, like, playing Mana Denial at all in the mirror, then you probably don't want Path. If you have a lot of answers to their opposing permanents, then, like, Path can be okay. But if you path them into, like, them getting Jitte counters first or something like that, it can just be so awkward. And this is kind of like why I don't publish a sideboarding guide on my website. It's like so much of sideboarding is like, how am I approaching the matchup this week? You know, how is this 75 approaching the matchup? That's why all my matchup primers talk about like what sort of cards are good and like what sort of cards are bad, but why I never have like exact in-out numbers or anything like that. Because, like, for example, putting Chalice into the sideboard of D&T can vastly change how you evaluate a matchup. Alright, opponent might have answered the door to get a pizza or something like that. So, chat, if you got any questions, feel free to throw them out here while we're waiting. All right, Minifer, what's your question? In Arcane, I'm 2 out of 3 donation deck lists towards my next sort of like bonus stream. So I have a special guest lined up who is going to do a special stream with me. So previous guests have been Nick Miller, and we played Infect, and recently Tom Hepp and I played Bug Depths, and I did one other one. Connor Fultz and I played Four Color Loam together. Minifer, 100%. I would love to jam some games against high level players. It is not Miranda Keith. She's on my list of people that I want to contact to do a stream with. But Miranda Keith is on my radar for people that I want to talk to and do some content with. I've worked with her in the past in doing some like sideboard analysis for Mavericks, so I think that'd be a fun evening. All right, best D&T themed pizza toppings. So it doesn't matter what toppings you do. It matters how you cut the pizza, right? So if you're trying to play control in the pizza matchup, you're trying to cut it so that the pieces you get end up with more toppings than your opponent. I mean, friend that you're sharing pizza with. So like you want to cut it in a way where you get more pieces of pepperoni, right? Like that's the D&T way to do it. Either that or like you buy the pizza and then you sell them by the slice, but you make a small profit. So you're making your opponent pay like $1 more for their pizza. All right. Opponent hits me. Let's see after all that if they get rid of my Dark Depths. No fatigue and natural order. That's all fine. So do I just play out the depths now? Probably. The awkward thing is that if they hit me and like take away both of these, it's so bad, but I think I'm on the like I'm going to produce a Merit Lodge. It's coming. You can cantrip for your 2 edicts, but if you don't have it, I win. Static Grip, it's going well. I'm having a fun night here. We're currently 2-0. All right, Lily Last Hope. That's not going to beat a Tentacle Monster. I hate to tell you, opponent. And now if my opponent plays like Strix this turn, I can like Punishing Fire that if I want. Although I'll probably save the Punishing Fire until like the turn where I actually go to attack. If I just like Punishing Fire it, my opponent can Lily on a minus to block. Oh yeah, we're going to make 20 power worth of tentacles and make my opponent have it. Yeah, if they do have it, I might just die. We're in anime now. We've gone full tentacle. All right. Best D&T. The opponent getting super aggressive with their cantrips here. You know, they essentially have to find the one of 2 cards in their next turn or they die. And again, note, I don't actually want to like use Punishing Fire to kill Snapcaster Mage. I basically just want to use this for the card Baleful Strix. That's all. Note that if this works, we win this game without casting a spell. Just to throw that out there for the achievement board. The opponent has now gotten a lot of looks. But opponent shuffled with the Ponder last turn, so they presumably don't have it yet. Note, I don't want to produce it here and block the Snapcaster Mage, because then something like Liliana of the Veil would become live when it otherwise wouldn't be. No, I cut the Sylvan Safekeeper. There was one in the last iteration of this deck. Alright, opponent continues to dig. Yeah, opponent has looked at a lot of cards. I think they got like 2 Ponders and a Brainstorm, but they shuffled with the Ponder again. Baleful Strix. Unless you have Force of Will, that is not good enough. Well, clearly this is the hardest of hardcore spiky deck ever, right? Alright, show me Force of Will. Oh, nope, we just win. So to explain what I was talking about, if my opponent has Force of Will there, they can force this Punishing Fire, block with the Baleful Strix, minus Liliana to put the Baleful Strix back into play and then buy some time, or then something like Jace the Mind Sculptor would then become live. Yeah, a single spell won that game. Alright, let's look at all of our sexy cards we have. Oh god. Oh, we're gonna choke him. And we're gonna Tireless Tracker him. Those are the best cards. And then, like, Ooze, Needle, Pyroblast, Reb, Thalia are all reasonable cards as well. So usually against counterspell decks, I board out my Natural Orders and my Dragon Lord Atarka and just kind of play a fairer game. And where do I want to go from here? Yeah, so like the way I've approached this matchup in the past is that in the post-sideboard games, I just play this value-oriented deck that seeks to cut Grixis control off of its like ability to function. So I don't think I need to go this big. Like, just getting to 5 and playing this is a disaster for them. And, like, if my opponent does Force of Will and gets, like, the trade for my Natural Order and a creature, that's usually quite bad for me. So, this is the pile of cards that I'm still considering. Teague is kind of medium. It basically only stops Jace, so I'll probably board that out. That will give me the Scoos, which is pretty annoying. And then these are all cards that like I would be perfectly happy to play. I should also potentially just like cut the Lumberjacks and plan on not going fast. So like it's possible that something approximating this might be better. The Rebs would help me kill Jace, and the Pithing Needle would help with Planeswalkers, but I think largely I'm just going on this mana denial plan for the post-sideboard games, so I think I like this. I should maybe cut one Punishing Fire, but it's really annoying. Like, since most of their creatures are just, you know, bad. Alright. What does this hand do? If this had a Wasteland, I would be all over this hand. But as is, this doesn't really do a ton. Like, I can turn 2 Ramunap, but then I have nothing to do with that. So I'm going to ship this one, look for something better. This hand is also pretty medium. I'm going to keep it rather than go to 5. I want a Wasteland. It's very good to recur. But I'm going to go ahead and send that to the bottom. I need business. I don't think I want to shave alone. Jeez. I bottom the Wasteland, and then like they play out Badlands on turn 1, indicating that they're not going to play around my basics. Or my Wastelands. Still. That's good information to have for the next game. It also may mean that, like, they don't have a black-based fetch. Ooh-wee. Alright, I'm going to talk about, like, fringe scenarios here. I'm going to get a Plains. If my opponent goes Force of Will into, like, Blood Moon or something stupid like that, I just don't want to be dead this game. And remember how I said, like, I was worried about Force of Will in the post-sideboard games? Here it is. Surgical extraction on Windswept Heath. All you. All you. Wow. I too do not know what little Nate Dogg over there is doing. Alright, so that was a surgical on a surgical target just to put a Gurmag Angler in play. It makes sense now. I do need to draw cards in order to, you know, do something here. Maybe I should have played Stage that turn. Super glad I didn't. I feel like a psychic for, like, talking about this exact scenario a couple turns ago. Alright, do I want to wasteland my opponent? Probably not. I probably want to, like, have open the line green sun for 3 to get a knight. I'm not willing to just do the chump block this turn. I'll chump block with Dryad Arbor next turn if necessary. Why would I scoop? I'm still fine. Less fine now. Alright, so now I know my opponent is playing Blood Moons. I know that they're playing Surgicals. This is useful information. That means I'm going to want one Knight of Autumn in here somewhere. Probably one Loam out for that. Knowing that they have Surgical now and will aggressively use it. I guess Knight of Autumn can also just blow up Baleful Strix, so maybe I should play a couple. It's not unreasonable to do so. So what's my plan versus a Gurmag Angler? My plan is just have a bigger Knight or trade it for a Titania token. Yeah, this seems fine. Like, again, I can consider Pyroblast and Red Blast, Needle, but I don't think I want to do that. Do I have a second forest? I do have a second forest. I don't have a second plains. So I don't love this hand. But turn 2 Thalia when you're on the play is pretty strong. So I'll keep this. So I'll lead on Windswept Heath, fetch a forest, and then I'll probably just like play out Taiga and not let my opponent know that I have this plains. Although I guess for him reasons I should consider just playing it out and leave nothing to chance. Alright, super happy to just see my Thalia resolve. No action from my opponent. Great. So Thalia makes my own Green Sun worse. So I can only Green Sun for 1 this turn, which could get me a bird. It's not really what I want. I'd rather save this for a more relevant card later on. Let's put my second forest into play and go ahead and pass. And if my opponent removes the Thalia, then I can use Green Sun for X equals 3 on my next turn. Just get a Knight or something, or a Tireless Tracker. Opponent just thinning. It didn't cantrip or anything. Am I willing to cast this for X equals 2 here? X equals 2 can just get me a Scavenging Ooze. That's fine. It's a little awkward if my opponent just, like, deluges on 3. But otherwise, I don't hate denying the power of Angler and not using my mana seems loose. Is there any sort of Turbo Depths Nick Fit fusion deck? I've seen the Dark Depths combo thrown into many places. Alright, so there goes my Thalia, that's fine. I don't think I've seen it in Nick Fit, but that doesn't mean it can't exist. The thing about, like, Nick Fit decks is you want to be able to just, like, cast your win conditions once you produce a lot of mana, and the Dark Depths combo usually requires you to just play out more lands, and you want to be putting basic lands into play via Veteran Explorer. Oh! Oh, yeah! Get 'em! Boo! That's okay, I'll cast a Primeval Titan next turn. And that'll probably get me, like, a Thespian Stage and a Wasteland. Alright. So be it. There's an argument to just get, like, a Dryad Arbor here, but I would rather not do that. Let's draw another Choke. Thalia's fine. So we get Savannah here. Play out a Thalia. It's mildly annoying. Play out a Dark Depths, which also falls into the mildly annoying category. Mostly don't want my opponents to hit, like, land plus K command. Like, destroying my Thalia plus getting, like, my next draw step with K command would be pretty rough. Opponent using their turn to dig, though. Since they brainstorm and fetch, so everything's unknown. They chose not to shuffle with Ponder, so they might have just found that land or whatever card they're about to cast. I'm undefeated so far. Alright, seems... It seemed like my opponent was about to just go and cast a Gurmag Angler based on those costs. But it could be Murderous Cut instead. Oh, or opponent could be bad. Yeah, that's true. Alright, so I can cast this for 3. I can put a Tireless Tracker into play. That's probably fine to do. Or Knight. How big's Knight? 1, 2, 3, 4. Knight would just be a 6/6. That would beat out Angler. But if my opponent had Angler, they just would have cast it. Actually, I haven't played a land this turn. Maybe I should just get Remunep Excavator and play a Windswept Heath, so if my opponent's card is Edict and they just couldn't cast it, I have that covered. It could still be Murderous Cut. I like the chat's idea that it's Edict. I'm going to get Knight, though. So if my opponent edicts me, I'll just sacrifice Thalia. And then I can produce a giant idiot whenever I want. Although, honestly, I might just like turn both my creatures sideways. I'm not sure yet. And I don't even need to figure it out. We just win. This deck's unbeatable. It's 3-0. This deck's so fun, chat. Eternal Witness is a card that would be fine in this deck. I'm not playing it because Ramunap Excavator basically does the same thing for the purposes of this deck. So Hovercraft, if you look at the left-hand side of the screen, you should see something that looks like a fistful of cards. If you click on that, that will pop up my whole deck list. That's an extension card called Cardboard Live, and I love it to death. So you can check out the full deck list there. All right, folks, I'm going to take 30 seconds and run to the restroom before I go into round 4 and wreck some more people with Orcish Lumberjack. I'll be right back. All right, folks, I'm back. Hello, my name's Phil Gallagher. I run Thraben University, a site exclusively for legacy death and taxes. And today we are playing with Orcish Lumberjack Midrange, aka Applejacks, to those in the know. This is a donation deck list, courtesy of Patrick H. I've made a couple of changes to the deck list from the last time that I tried it. Notably, I took out the crop rotation package for more mid-range cards. So now this version of the deck kind of has a little bit more going on with more things to kind of play in the mid-game, but I've lost some of my ability to just super fast combo, and I've lost some of my utility cards. Whether or not that's a correct trade-off in the grand scheme of things, hard to say, but it's working out so far. So if you have any questions about the deck list, you can go ahead and hover over the Cardboard Live extension on the left-hand side of the screen. If you click the cards, it'll bring up your full deck list. And we're queuing. Chat members, if you have any questions, feel free to throw them in there, and I'll answer some while we wait. Hovercraft, that's a good question. So the question is Archon of Valor's Reach worth a spot in 75 for a natural order target? That's not a card that was on Magic Online the last time that I played this, so I hadn't considered that until today. I thought about that today. And, like, what I was worried about was, like, is that just more fat? And I think the answer is yes. I think in a lot of spots where you want Archon of Valor's Reach to just close out a game, Teague does similar things, but is a much more reasonable Green Sun target. So I don't know that I need Archon. Like, Archon is definitely the sort of card that can fit into this shell, but just kind of like looking at our curve, we're already kind of heavy, and I don't think I want to throw another 6 into the mix. Archon of Valor's Reach, more generally, is a card that I want to mess around with, though. I think that card really has a home in Legacy, probably in, like, Elves and Nick Fit, though maybe in some other random places as well. "15 Stepper." Is that like a DDR name? Unclear. Alright. So this would be Mox Diamond, discard Taiga, Green Sun for Dryad Arbor. Have 2 mana on turn 2 in order to Light from the Loam this Taiga. Get to 3 mana. My opponent probably plays Blue-Red Delver. I think I just want something with more lands. Like, this isn't reliable against a deck with counterspells. I'm going to ship this one. So I'll keep this. I don't really need the knight here. That'll go on the bottom. I'm shuffling anyway. On turn 1, I'm just going to fetch Forest and Bird. Price of Progress would be, like, absolutely devastating against me, so we'll play around it to the extent that I can. I don't actually have all that many red cards. The Ooze is in the sideboard, right? The Ooze is in the sideboard. So if I cast this Green Sun for 2, I'm just getting a Teague. Which is not the best. We're playing against Blue-Red Delver, it looks like. I could also just use this to get another bird. Or to get a Dryad Arbor. That's not really unreasonable. Yeah, Blue-Red Delver is like a glorified burn deck. So there's an argument there for getting the Dryad Arbor, but I just kind of have this weird feeling if I get a Dryad Arbor, it might get removed, whereas if I just get a bird, it might not. I can't really explain that, but call it a feeling. I don't have the second red. I only have one red currently. Alright, now I can make a, what is it, 4-3? Or I can just gain life. If I make a 4-3, my opponent could, like, lightning bolt it and trade Swiss Spear for it. The awkward thing is that, like, if I just play the knight and my opponent has a bolt, they just bolt this and get through. So I think I just gained life. So I'm fine with blocking one of these and just, like, making my opponent use a spell. Or trade. That's all fine with me. Things get pretty nasty for my opponent as soon as I, like, get a land and hopefully get to resolve Titania. I have a feeling it'll resolve. It's not 100%, but that's not the best for me. I'm still at a whopping 15 life, though, so life is not that bad. I guess I can always yield to this until I have a reason not to. Yeah, now everything's off that they have the Ponder, though. Especially if this Ponder shuffle, or, like, doesn't shuffle. Alright, so they probably pondered into this Preordain. One bottom, so they have one card that they like. This is too slow. Burn is indeed a thing. We're not going to loam here. So I want to put a land into the graveyard to return. This just feels kind of bad. And I want to get a mana-producing land to play around a Daze, because that'd be so bad. So if this resolves, I get to go and get a Windswept Heath back, which can give me both an Elemental and a Dryad Arbor. It's a big if at this point, though. My opponent's cantripped a few times, so something like a Force of Will is likely. Alright, so now I need the Delver not to flip and my opponent to have all dead things. Opponent has Force of Will. Rough. So now I'm dead with any spell. Alright. Yeah, so like we bottomed out in those mid turns and didn't get to do anything. That's why we lost that one. My opponent did not present a fast clock there at all. Yeah, so opponent has presumably both days and force. All right, so I'll probably play chokes, tracker, ooze, Thalia, maybe even swords, pyroblast, Reb. Pyroblast and Reb are kind of loose, so I might not play those. Not a Sylvan Library matchup. Not really a Life from the Loam matchup. I might not even need to go like Primeval Titan big. Like just going Titania big or Knight big is probably good enough if I answer my opponent's threats. Yeah, the plan here is indeed to just play Maverick. Just like play good value-oriented cards and get them. I probably won't even like play Loam. Maybe not even the Lumberjacks. Like sacrificing your own land versus Delvers kind of eh. If I then get rid of these, that would put me at 60. This would still give me like one tracker as a green sun target, one Ramunap as a green sun target. So like off green sun, I can get Wasteland Recursion or just random value. I have one tracker in. I don't know that I want a second. Kozilek's Return is fine, but like I would rather have one mana removal spells against sort of like an aggressive deck. The like dream scenarios where you take 2 or 3 creatures out with Kozilek's Return don't happen nearly as often as you'd like. Especially since I'm a creature-based deck, my opponent might be boarding out some number of their creatures, making it even less likely. So I don't think I want K-Return. Like, if I was going to sideboard anything else, I'd, like, consider cutting, like, one of Ramunap or Tracker, and then trimming one other thing to have both of my Reb effects. Mox Diamond, discard Wasteland, play Bird. If I draw a land, I choke on turn 2. So, like, I get to go Mox Diamond into Bird. If my Bird dies, I still have Swords of Plowshares for the first threat. When I draw another land, I get a second Mox Diamond, which will let me cast Punishing Fire. This hand is probably not as bad as it looks. I have 26 lands in the deck. I would 100% keep this hand on the draw. I still kind of want to keep it on the play. Chat, what do you think? I lean very slightly towards Mulligan. but very slightly. Feels like a risky keep, but I kind of want you to do it for science. I'm going to mulligan this one. I think it's very close, though. I'll keep this hand, so I'll Green Sun for Dryad Arbor on turn 1. I'll go ahead and bottom that. This is a more balanced hand. This is not like a something happened and I was blown out hand. This is like I'm going to play fair magic against my opponent. So if my opponent plays a turn 1 creature, then I go and like just destroy it with Punishing Fire. Otherwise, I'll play a Knight, and I'm fine with just jamming Knight into Daze, especially after my opponent fetches Mountain. So my opponent, now that they cast that, I'm fine with Punishing Firing in response. See if we get him. And we got him. If my opponent had a Daze, I would have taken like 1 more point of damage there, but I wouldn't care about that. The risk is worth it. If I draw a land, I will just like Knight of Autumn and gain some life. I did so. I'm just going to go ahead and get a forest here. Actually, maybe I'm just supposed to Knight. Like, my Knight will be a 4/4, so it's bigger than any one piece of removal already. That may just be correct. And then in case my opponent plays some weird enchantment, like a Sulfuric Vortex or Pyrostatic Pillar or Blood Moon or something, I'll still have that around. Young Pyromancer. I'm fine with casting a Punishing Fire to destroy the living heck out of that. Surgical on Punishing Fire. Rough. Opponent confirmed doing unfair things. What a bully. Who would do that? So heartless. My opponent literally can't beat a Merit Lodge, right? Just, like, actual factual 0 outs to 1. Other than, like, block with Delver. Alright, so I think I like just playing Knight of Autumn, gaining some life this turn. And then over the course of the next 2 turns, just like produce Merit Lodge with Knight of the Reliquary. My opponent also, like, super conveniently tapped their Wasteland again. So that's great for me. That means I don't, like, have to play around their Wasteland by getting another Wasteland first. Alright, opponent knows what's up now. So I gained a little bit of extra information there. I know my opponent has young Pyromancers now. With that in mind, I will bring in the Kozilek's Return, and that becomes noticeably better once my opponent is playing young Pyromancer. So if we saw 2 of them that quickly, my opponent probably has something like 3 in their 75. No, they got game 1, I got game 2. So choke's a little worse on the draw. My opponent also has a basic mountain. My opponent also plays Wasteland. I'm sitting here thinking about, like, do I want to board out both of these chokes to play Pyroblast and Red Elemental Blast, just to, like, nug Delvers and Cantrips? It's possible that, like, choke on the draw is kind of rough against, like, this young Pyromancer strategy. On the fence about that. I just love slamming choke against these sorts of decks. But my opponent might be trying to very aggressively go under me. I think I'm going to play like this. Choke on the draw against blue-red might be rough. Like, I might, like, destroy their mana and just not answer the stuff that's on board and die. I'm also considering one Tireless Tracker over another Titania, just to, like, play something else that can block a little bit earlier on. This is another one of those kind of risky hands. So I go Mox Diamond, discard Windswept Heath, play Bird, and then I don't have any follow-up. Like, it's fine if I draw a land. But I really want something that has... If I draw a land, this is, like, actively good. But if not, it's very bad. I also don't have any removal, so I'm going to mulligan. Like, a mediocre hand with some removal is probably better. This is just a mediocre hand without removal, but I'll keep it. And I'll bottom the Dark Depths. I don't expect to win with this hand, but at the same time, I don't think I can throw it back. Yeah, I just watched the most recent episode of Goblin Slayer. That show has a lot of potential. So, like, super unfortunately, like, the Dryad Arbor is in my hand, so this Green Sun is not fetching Dryad Arbor. Let me just confirm that I don't have 2. Yep, just 1 Dryad Arbor. What a jerk. I'm just going to play Windswept Heath and pass here. As the hand currently stands, the green sun is going to be my endgame. Blind flip on the Delver is a little rough. Well, yeah, the first episode was very well crafted. It did a very good job of doing what it wanted to do. It was not universally well received. Feels like I'm gonna get Delvered. So, like, I'm playing this Ooze out, but I know my opponent has Lightning Bolt, so this Lightning Bolt can go directly to the Ooze, or my opponent can just have Daze. Alright, so I'll have Knight of Autumn as a bridge card. I can use that to gain some life next turn. Jeez. Flip again, plus Wasteland. Yeah, I'm getting Delvered. I think I need to draw, like, running removal spells. It's not a removal spell. So I'm going to use this to just, like, get a Bird of Paradise, try to draw the Lightning Bolt out of my opponent's hand. Alright, do I need to block here? So if I just take this, I go to 4. I can gain 4 life, go up to 8. My opponent effectively has 9. So I'm going to block with this Bird of Paradise at some point. I think I want to block with it next turn. Like, just keeping it around will enable some lines where I rip, like, Swords to Plowshares off the top. I shuffled you to the bottom. I put you in the bottom. I shuffled once. Hurrah! So now I should just be dead. My opponent has to see it. So they can just, like, bolt me and daze. And then I'm done so. Yeah, so now my opponent just attacks me and I die. Alright, it is what it is. Like, I had a lot of removal spells to draw to. 2 blasts, 3 Swords to Plowshares, 3 Punishing Fires. That was kind of rough. There wasn't much I could do about that. I took a lot of mulligans against that deck there, but I don't feel like it necessarily was a bad matchup. I can stabilize relatively easily against their smaller threats, and I do have, like, pieces of main deck life gain that I can tutor for, but sometimes you get Delvered. Hey JD, welcome. We are flying through this stream. We are about to go into round 5. We are currently 3-1. Bad guy Delver's got us down. Let's see what we can do. See if we can get another 4-1. Oh, hello, friend. I'm gonna give them a minute to get out of the stream. Okay, they're out. So we're probably playing against D&T Maverick or something of that ilk. So I have the Punishing Fire combo in hand, so I'm going to keep this. So I can just go like turn 1, Windswept Heath, pass, turn 2, slam Sylvan Library, and then like turn 3, Punishing Fire an Idiot, and go, 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 go. I should have played Taiga there. Should have played Taiga so I could both Punishing Fire and return it. That was an error on my end. So I don't want this. That can go back. Super punish for not playing Taiga last turn. I don't know that I need to take the damage yet. Ratrek, I enjoyed having Skelebro on stream for a little while with that Halloween stream. That was really fun. More Bob. Good thing I've got more answers to Bob. Super glad to draw a Mox Diamond. I'll pay life for that. Dragon Lord Atarka can go to the top of my library. So I'll discard a Caracas, play Grove, red, return this, and he's done with me. Tabernacle and Winter Orb in the same match sounds delightful. So it looks like our opponent is going to be playing 4-color Loam, so probably not going to choke him. We'll probably just want to play like as best of a mid-range game that I can. So like I'll probably want to play Knights to blow up opposing Mox Diamonds. Tireless Tracker seems good. Ooze is kind of a breaker. I'll probably want Swords of Plowshares for Knights because Chalices probably come out. Probably don't want Teague. And then it's a little trickier from there. I actually think I'm relatively well suited for this fight because like I have more graveyard-based recursion. Like I have Loams and Titanias, whereas he's just gonna have Loams, and like I have Knights as well. Like one of the big questions is going to be like, do I want to play these Lumberjacks? The Lumberjacks can let me like boost ahead on mana, but they can make the opposing Wastelands really awkward. I don't know where I come down on that decision. Like I like most of my cards here. Maybe I cut these. Maybe the second Knight isn't good. I don't know that I have room to do that, if I'm being completely honest. Like, I'm already struggling. I could cut my natural order package. But the possibility of Dragon Lord Atarka coming out is sweet. But maybe I'm supposed to play mid-range V mid-range. And just like cut these and also play the other Knight of Autumn. My opponent mulligan, I'm going to keep my hand. I have an answer to an early Bob. I have a Wasteland and a way to recur it. I don't really want to have this Primeval Titan in my hand basically ever. I just want to like search that out of my deck. Ooze. That's fine. I only have one white source right now, so I'm fine getting a basic to protect this. It's possible that I don't need to just, like, snap remove this ooze, but my opponent has 2 cards left, and I have Ramunap right around the corner, and I'd really like my cards to remain in graveyard. Is that a misclick? Main phase fetch Dryad Arbor seems super weird. Oh, just 2 loam. Alright, so Verdant and Scrubland in hand. So I'm going to go ahead and play a Wasteland out, and then pass. Yeah, alright, so opponent says, well, that's a misclick. So opponent will dredge the loam. Oh, no dredge. So they've still got Scrub in hand. No, Waterfall Stream is still coming. I think that's my next stream. I'll take a look at the ad screen in just a minute. No, it is not the mirror. They're playing loam. Jeez, I have so many wastelands. This is disgusting. So after sideboarding, opponent will have like maybe 2 or 3 Swords to Plowshares in their deck. So the Ramunap might just die. Static Grip. After this match, let me take a look at my schedule and I can give you a rough idea. All right, it's a Bob. It's a great card to help them get back in this. So I kind of have like double graveyard-based recursion now, which is more than I want. How do I want to play this turn? I can just start like wasting my opponent and keep them off of mana, but they have Dark Confidant, so like they're gonna get their mana back somewhat easily. My opponent has Loam too, so I don't necessarily just want to start trying to waste them into Oblivion. I don't think that's profitable. I think I just want to build up my own mana reserves. Alright, so I've already played a land. And I don't think I want to attack. I think I just want to hold back and keep this defensive. It's possible that I want to attack and just like pressure my opponent's life total. Alright, they found a wasteland. So, like, my opponent can't really wasteland me right now, because if they wasteland me, I just wasteland their Dryad Arbor and I get sick value from it. Green Sun for 2. The Ooze is already gone. Might be a Scrib Ranger. Or something of that ilk. Let's find out. Gaddock, that's fine. Sort of surprised that's still on the deck. Don't really want to loam at this point. I just want to draw something relevant. That's not it. Again, so that I don't get wastelanded into oblivion, I'm just going to keep playing wastelands out. Statistically speaking, I do very well against Merfolk, because Merfolk is a bad deck. So it's just easy to beat because it's bad. Alright, so opponent has like Baron Moore, Life from the Loam shenanigans going on at any point, if they so desire. JD, that's a long comment. Let me, and I can see it's somewhat serious, let me answer that more specifically when I'm not in the middle of a game. So remind me at the end of this, or in between games here, and I will answer that properly. Discard Windswept Heath. I'll play yet another Wasteland. Let's go 6 whopping mana. Play a Primeval Titan. Now let's start this sub-game where Phil has a Dark Depths and a Thespian stage. And our poor opponent has to go and wasteland me with their mana, or die to this combo, which I'm going to keep doing either with my snake friend or with Life from the Loam. I'm going to give him a smiley face in chat. The Ooze is gone. You have a Knight. The Knight can get a Caracas. That's fine. I can do this forever. Do I want to dredge? I don't think I want to dredge. Ooh, Green Sun. What does Green Sun do? Green Sun does nothing right now because my opponent has Teague. I can attack with Primeval Titan. It's super free too. Opponent can't block with the Knight. They need to fetch up their Caracas, which I will in turn wasteland, or they'll die. Opponent does have Punishing Fire, so they could do like Teague block and Bob block and Punishing Fire or something like that. But I'd be more or less okay with that happening. Tark is in the sideboard, so that's not happening. And opponent scoops it up. They basically said, you know, there's not a lot I can do at this point. Even if my opponent buys a turn by, like, searching up a Caracas to, like, bounce the Merit Lodge token that I can produce, I have, like, triple Wasteland, and I can, like, go and do this Dark Depths thing, like, every turn for the rest of the game. So the concession definitely is not premature there. They're just on the wrong side of the equation at that point. All right, so that was a 4-1 tonight, and a relatively easy one. Like, we kind of got Delvered by Blue-Red Delver. We had plenty of removal spells in the post-sideboard games. Like, we had boarded in 6 additional removal spells plus the 3 Punishing Fires that were in the deck, but without seeing one, my kind of clunky 6-card hand was just not good enough. Yeah, definitely was a good night. All right, so let's talk about the changes that I made to the deck and kind of like my impression of those changes after this league. So change number 1 I made. I cut the crop rotation package and a Sylvan Safekeeper for Ramunap, Tireless Tracker, Night of Autumn, and removing the 61st card from the deck. And I also removed Bojuka Bog, Sajiri Step to add another Taiga and a Savannah. Essentially, what I did was I made the deck slightly less able to combo kill quickly and more about grinding the end game. And that portion of the deck was very good. Like, the whole, like, Knight of the Reliquary, Tireless Tracker, Ramunap stuff, like, all this stuff in this column here just felt absolutely disgusting. Primeval Titan pulled its weight very, very hard tonight. Titania was solid, but didn't necessarily take over games. So essentially, I just played a very good, fair, like, mid-range deck. Orcish Lumberjack on a couple of occasions did some broken stuff. And just for the sake of comparison, because I think this is very obvious, like, let's compare this to something else that I played recently. Like, let's find my Loam deck. This is the Loam deck that I was playing. A lot of the core is the same, right? Let me get some of this stuff on screen here. So, like, the parts of the deck that were very good were largely overlapping, right? Like, some of the mana base is the same. The Mox Diamonds were great. Like, Loam, Ooze, Library, Teague, Knight, Green Sun. Like, a lot of these same sorts of cards are very, very, very good. So I'm totally happy playing any sort of Knight of the Reliquary deck right now. So I got a couple of questions from chat. I got a big one from JD in the middle of that round. All right, so I'm just going to read this aloud because it's long. All right, so give this some thought for a sec. I want to get your opinion. Could be because I'm still so new. However, do you find when you sit down to matches in real life versus MTGO that your heart starts pounding and anxiety sets in and you don't think as clearly as you could if, say, you were playing for fun, which we should be in the first place? But because there's an added layer of pressure, do you get that feeling and perhaps not mull when you should or make missteps and so on? Or because you've done many tournaments, are you now comfortable and you know what needs to be done against each deck? So that sort of thing is really common. It's not just you. To just talk about it briefly for a minute, if you don't play a lot of paper Magic or you don't travel to a lot of big tournaments, you're going to feel this pressure to succeed. You want to prove yourself. You really want to do well at these tournaments. And so you get the nerves. That anxiety sets in. That is very, very real. That's not just, you know, all in your head. This is a very common thing among Magic players. Like, I'm at the point now where when I show up to a big event, it is my intention to play the best Magic that I can play, and whatever happens, happens. And for years of playing, some of those losses really stung, and I was super disappointed with myself, and, like, I knew that, like, some of my results weren't matching what I was capable of. But after you play more and more and more, and you just kind of, like, look at a chart of your progress over time, if you notice that chart trending upwards, Like, you don't have anything to be worried about. Like, if I look at my placement in, like, the recent tournaments that I've played, like, I can see over the years that it has shot up and up and up and up. And I'm still more relaxed every time I play in a big tournament. Like, every time I just go in, and it's easier than the last one I played in. So, to just kind of share an anecdote, like, when I first started grinding Legacy, for, I don't know, for like 2 years, I missed caching. I got like 65th, 66th, 68th, 69th, 72nd, or I guess it was a year. It was like that first year that I was playing in opens, it was just like devastating. And like everyone is like, I'm better than this. I can do this. I can do this. And I just like took a lot of mental hits in a row. So at like every tournament, I just like felt the need to prove myself. And finally, I just said like, all right, this is starting to mean too much to me. Like, I need to back off. And I just like played a different deck for an event. And I would like just came in and I was much more relaxed. And I cashed that one. It was like, oh, wow, okay, all right, now that's off my back. And then I went back with D&T and I started winning again. Yeah, so Goblin Lackey, I'm just going to read that aloud. The way I think you need to internalize it is not to place any value on your placement in the event. I get those kind of nerves when I think, man, I really, really want to cash, hit top, 64 or whatever. Don't do that to yourself. Just play the best Magic that you can. Yeah. So, like, when I walked into Grand Prix Richmond, for example, like, I walked in super confident with my deck choice, super confident with my 75, super confident with my playability. I walked in feeling like I could win that event. But my attitude was like, all right, I'm just going to play the best Magic that I can. And I think I took like a round 1 loss or some crap like that. And I was like, all right, still going to play the best Magic that I can. And I ended up doing very, very well in that event. I don't know, like 30th or 40th or something like that. And I was super happy about it. All right, so there was another question. Phil, I've seen your 4-color loam video on YouTube. I played in paper. Do you have a sideboard list and how you sideboard against other legacy decks, and would you share it with me? I have one, but it is not mine to distribute. I have someone else's, so I do not have permission to distribute that. So sorry, I have to deny that. But if you want to get better with 4-color loam, there's a very active Facebook group that I can link you to. In fact, let me do that right now. If you want to talk to people about loam sideboarding, this is the place. Yeah, if Loamer Boy's sideboard guide is public in that group, then you can pull it from that group. JD, you are never under any circumstances obligated to concede to your opponent. You need to figure out what works for you. It's tricky. One of the things that's the biggest consideration for me is that the draw bracket is not a good place to be for many decks. So a lot of times, if my opponent is clearly winning, I might concede to my opponent to stay out of the draw bracket. But one of the biggest things, and I think this is really important, is if your opponent is being a belligerent asshole about you conceding, never concede to them. Like, if your opponent is berating you, trying to get you to concede, don't reward that behavior. That I would say is something that's super important. I don't want the Magic community to be full of crap, and if, someone is trying to, like, bully you into a concession, don't take that crap. At the same time, watch your concessions, because there's a lot of, like, weird bribery type things that can get you into a lot of trouble, and if you ever have any questions about that, like, call a judge and figure out what you can and can't ask. There have been way too many people who have just been on the wrong side of some of that stuff, and it's super unfortunate. I don't mind taking draws in tournaments, like, if I have to. I will sometimes ask for the concession, like, all right, I think I've got you beat, will you concede to me? And if my opponent says no, it's like, all right, that's fine. You know, if it's an evenly locked game, I don't want to concede to them, so be it. I do very much regret like not conceding to my D&T opponent at Richmond because I got into the draw bracket with a bunch of Miracles and Grixis control, and it made my tournament much harder. But it kind of is what it is. My real-life strategy in paper events should be to ensure I get a draw so I can play against all the Miracles players. I forget who it was. It might have been someone like Brad Nelson. Someone, I think it was on SCG, wrote an article about like, hey, I have this really good aggro deck. Would it make sense for me to like get into the draw bracket so I can play against the grindy control matchups all day and just like crush them? That was a neat article. I think the answer ended up being like, no, you should probably just win all your matches, but it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to try. I think the article was actually about Standard, but the principle's the same. All right, folks, let's take a look at what I'm doing later this week. So on Wednesday, I'm playing Blue-White Spirits. That's another Aether Vial-based deck, kind of like D&T. It's a little bit disruptive. It's kind of somewhere between Merfolk and D&T in terms of functionality. We have 4-1 Solnox. And then it's looking like on Saturday I'm going to be playing Waterfalls, which is the 3 to 4 color Cascade deck featuring Legacy All-Star Bloodbraid Elf alongside Shardless Agent. And then after that, I've got some slots available. I'm looking to fill those with some donation deck lists. If they don't get filled, I will probably end up playing D&T or 4-color Loam. Those are sort of the decks I'm playing in my free time at the moment. There is a chance that I will end up going out of town this weekend. If that happens, the Saturday stream will end up getting pushed to Monday. I'm thinking about going to Greensboro for the weekend, but I don't have the details finalized yet. All right, so that's all I've got for you tonight. I'm going to go ahead and find someone to host here. But while I'm sort of wrapping up, I just wanted to say thank you all for joining me tonight. Again, my name's Phil Gallagher. I run Thraben University. And if you enjoyed my content, please consider like following my channel, doing a donation deck list, subscribing, doing something to support me, making a whole bunch of sweet legacy content. And I'll look forward to seeing you all soon. And just one more time, boy, do I love this deck. Like, this deck's so fun. Cheers, folks. I'm going to turn you over to an Infect stream.